a shadow in the woods. His journey brought him to undesirable places and circumstances, and now, he was at Zereplida. He saw the scattered remains of the males and their burnt and destroyed village. There was no sign of life except for the insects and a few animals that scattered around, but he sensed that he was not alone. He stood up and looked around, readying for any surprises, for he became used to the life outside Mathipus where he had seen brutalities, and even he almost fell victim to it until fate was so good at him each time. He smelled a familiar odor and he knew what it was: Nugus. He peered at the woods at the other side of the lake but could not see anything at first. He knew that the Nugus were just watching him until he saw a dark kind that immediately hid behind a tree. After the death of the males, some of the Nugus who survived the attack at Hapa went to Zereplida and made it their temporary abode. They let Zereplida untouched for any mercenary to think that the place was uninhabited. From time to time in the past, a few Geradians, Bixes, and vile Reds paid a visit to the place of the males, thinking that there were still others who survived the attack of King Sekrim's own and loyal soldiers of Sumix. They learned also that the blue stones that were considered before as extraordinary gems were the eyes of the males, and that lured many races, mostly bandits and pirates, to hunt them down. After some years of finding nothing, the hunters abandoned Zereplida, for many of those who went at Zereplida were not able to come back to their respective lands, killed by unknown causes. Many believed that the males took vengeance and their souls transformed to either a beast or vile spirits, for most of the dead hunters were found either mutilated or just dead with stiff body and widely opened and frightened eyes. Any hunter who set foot at Zereplida suffered a tragic fate. When Zereplida was left unto itself, the Nugus began to inhabit the place. They too suffered the same fate as the males when King Sekrim's Reds learned that the Hapa mountain was also filled with rare stones. After they decimated the males, they went to Hapa for the stones that the Nugus had, and since every kind in the middle north and in the east regarded the Sumix as vile, this was the reason that the Sumix were feared by other kinds, and they thought they were from Igathansha. Their limited histories and knowledge beyond their borders prohibited them from knowing that the vile Sumix were nothing but the Sumik Red soldiers of King Sekrim. Leonardo spoke loudly the language of the males, ensuring that it would be heard by the lives at the other side of the lake. I was lost and came to here as a traveler. I mean no harm. I have lived with the males for years and I have known one like you in the west. I know you are just there and I know what your kind is. You are Nugus, the inhabitants of a mountain called Hapa. I am Leonardo. I was raised by the males and I met Tatutata, a Nuga like you, who told me about what your kind is. Please, show yourselves, for I am not a mercenary like you were thinking then. I mean no harm. His loud voice was echoing inside the still woods. The Nugas who were hiding in the bushes and trees understood every word Leonardo said, and they were all surprised, for he was speaking the language of the friends they knew for several centuries. The males. How could it be? The males, their friends were all dead. It could be a trap, each Nuga by the woods thought. Leonardo's words seemed to have no effect as he saw nothing moved at the woods before him. He walked at the edge of the lake, but his gaze was still fixed at the other side. He put down his bag on the earth and had it leaned beside a rock as he dived into the lake. For a time he did not surface, and this made the Nugas wonder. What they saw were exactly how the males dived and behaved while into the lake water. When Leonardo's head emerged from the lake and swam back and alighted to where his bag was, a pin-like needle